Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya, coming in the next 30 minutes. Indian economy records a six-quarter high growth of 8.2% in July-September quarter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says data reflects impact of pro-growth policies and reforms. US President Donald Trump says United States will permanently pause migration from third world countries. 56th International Film Festival of India organizes a grand closing ceremony in Goa. Under Indian Panorama, Karan Singh Tyagi wins Best Debut Director for Kesri Chapter 2 and Bandish Bandits Season 2 wins Best Web Series. The Indian economy's growth rate made a record in the second quarter of the ongoing financial year. The economy grew at a rate of 8.2% during the July-September quarter, according to data released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Real GDP is estimated to grow by 8.2% in quarter 2 of financial year 2025-26. Nominal GDP witnesses a growth rate of 8.7% in quarter 2 of FY 2025-26. Real GDP growth rate in quarter 2 of FY 2025-26 crosses 8% due to secondary and tertiary sectors. Manufacturing and construction register above 7% growth rate for the second quarter. Financial, real estate and professional services 10.2% sustained substantial growth rate at constant prices in quarter 2. Agriculture and allied sector, electricity, gas, water supply and other utility services sector witnessed moderate real growth rate during quarter 2. Real private final consumption expenditure reported 7.9% growth rate in quarter 2. Real GDP registered 8% growth rate in the April-September of financial year 2025-26. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds India's GDP growth on social media platform X. PM Modi said, and I quote, "The 8.2% GDP growth in quarter 2 of 2025-26 is very encouraging. It reflects the impact of our pro-growth policies and reforms. It also reflects the hard work and enterprise of our people. Our government will continue to advance reforms and strengthen ease of living for every citizen," unquote. Russian President Vladimir Putin will pay a state visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During his two-day visit starting from the 4th of December, the Russian President will attend the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit. President Putin will hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Murmu will also receive her Russian counterpart and host a banquet in his honor. The forthcoming state visit will provide an opportunity for the leadership of India and Russia to review progress in bilateral relations, set the vision for strengthening the special and privileged strategic partnership, and exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. India has reaffirmed its steadfast support to the people of Afghanistan by supplying 73 tons of life-saving medicines, vaccines and essential medical supplements to Kabul. The assistance aims to strengthen Afghanistan's healthcare system and address urgent medical needs on the ground. India and Germany held the 10th meeting of the Joint Working Group on Counter-Terrorism in New Delhi on Thursday. Both sides strongly condemned terrorism in all forms, including cross-border terrorism, and denounced the Pahalgam and Delhi Red Fort terror attack, which claimed civilian lives. Officials exchanged assessments of regional and global threats and discussed policies to counter radicalization, curb the misuse of emerging technologies, strengthen terror financing controls and enhance judicial cooperation. They also reaffirmed their commitment to closer coordination at multilateral fora such as the United Nations, FATF, Global Counterterrorism Forum and the No Money for Terror Conference. US President Donald Trump said his administration will work to permanently pause migration from what he termed third world countries to allow the US system to fully recover. Trump also said on social media platform Truth Social that he will end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens, adding that he will denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk or non-compatible with Western civilization. Trump has ordered a widespread review of asylum cases approved under former President Joe Biden's administration and green cards issued to citizens of 19 countries following the death of a National Guard member on Thursday after being shot near the White House. Trump had already called for the re-examination of all Afghan nationals who came to the U.S. under his predecessor, saying that the U.S. needed to take measures to ensure the removal of anyone who does not add benefit to our country. According to the memo signed by Ed Lowe, that order would apply to about 233,000 refugees who entered between January 20, 2021 and February 20, 2025. The death toll in the deadly apartment fire in Hong Kong rose to 128 on Friday. The firefighting operations were wrapped on Friday after the blaze in all 7 apartments were extinguished. The government mobilized 1,000 policemen for rescue efforts. 12 firemen were also injured during rescue operations, including one reported in serious condition. Families could be seen scrambling to identify the loved ones in the hospitals as over 200 are still missing in the aftermath. Investigations showed that the fire alarms in the affected buildings were not operating properly. Authorities are investigating the cause of the deadly fire as arrests are being made on the basis of findings during the investigation. Updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has shown optimism to the outline draft peace proposals discussed by the United States and Ukraine that could become the basis of future agreements to end the conflict in Ukraine. But if not, Russia would fight on. U.S. President Donald Trump has long said he wants to end the conflict in Ukraine, but his efforts so far, including a summit with President Putin in Alaska in August, have not brought peace. Speaking in Bishkek after a summit with the leaders of a grouping of former Soviet republics, Putin said that the discussions so far were not about a draft agreement of any kind, but about sets of issues. He said that in Geneva, the U.S. and Ukraine had decided to divide up the 28 points into 4 separate components and that a copy had been transmitted to Moscow. Putin said that some things still needed to be discussed. If Europe wanted a pledge not to attack it, then Russia was willing to give such a formal pledge. Russian forces control more than 19% of Ukraine. He noted that it should cease the fighting but needed Kyiv's forces to pull back before it could do so. Putin said that he considered the Ukrainian leadership to be illegitimate and so it was legally impossible to sign a deal with Kyiv. He said the Kyiv leadership lost legitimacy after refusing to hold elections when President Volodymyr Zelensky's elected term expired. Kyiv says it cannot hold elections while under martial law and defending its territory against Russia. While Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also confirmed that delegations from Kyiv and Washington are to meet this week to work out a formula discussed at talks in Geneva to bring peace and provide security guarantees for Kyiv.
Our team, together with American representatives this week, yet at the end of it, will continue to push forward the points that we worked out as a result of talks in Geneva to shape them so that we can reach the path to peace and security guarantees. Our delegation will meet. The US delegation will be well prepared and ready to engage in hands-on work.
Zelensky met Latvian Foreign Minister Baiba Braze in Kyiv on Thursday, thanking Latvia for joining a US-backed program that allows Kyiv to buy Patriot missiles and other air defense systems. Braze said Latvia stands by Ukraine and told Zelensky that he was not alone, adding that Ukraine was strong, democratic and had a very bright future. Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold talks with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban later on Friday. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov confirmed the meeting between the two leaders in Moscow. Earlier, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said he would meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow to discuss crude and gas supplies for Hungary and also peace efforts in Ukraine. The United States gave Hungary an exemption from sanctions this month to use Russian oil and gas after Orban pressed his case for a reprieve during a friendly meeting with President Donald Trump in Washington. Hungary also signed a pact on nuclear power cooperation with the United States. The death toll from floods across large swaths of Southeast Asia rose to at least 319 on Friday, with authorities working to rescue stranded citizens, restore power and communications, and coordinate recovery efforts as the waters began to recede. The death toll from floods and landslides in the Indonesian island of Sumatra Island has risen to 174, up from the previous 94, while dozens remain missing. Communications remained down in some parts of the island, and authorities were working to restore power and clear roads that have been blocked by landslide debris, said Abdul Muhari, who is the spokesperson for Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency. Indonesia will continue to airlift and aid rescue personnel into stricken areas on Friday. Meanwhile, the Thai government said that 145 people had been killed by floods across 8 southern provinces. In the southern city of Hat Yai, the hardest hit part of Thailand, the rain had finally stopped on Friday, but residents were still ankle deep in floodwaters, and many remained without electricity as they assessed the damage done to their property over the last week. The United Nations called on Pakistani authorities to ensure that the rights of imprisoned former Prime Minister Imran Khan are respected and fully upheld. UN's deputy spokesperson Farhan Haq reaffirmed that the world body has urged Pakistani authorities to ensure that the human rights and due process rights of Imran Khan are respected. This follows his arrest and ongoing legal proceedings. The UN has emphasized that in such politically sensitive cases, fair treatment under law and procedural fairness are essential. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake shook central Iran early on Friday morning. There were no immediate reports of casualties or damage from the quake, which struck the city of Behabad in Yazd province. Iran lies on major seismic faults and experiences about 1 earthquake a day. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the 550th year celebrations of Sri Samsthan Gokarna Partagali Jivotta Much in Goa. Australia stick with unchanged squad for the second Ashes Test in Brisbane.
Much of India's democracy is really a British leftover.
It is outrageous to suggest that the British have any reason to applaud themselves that India is a democracy at the end of 200 years of colonial oppression. Those who demanded democracy were ruthlessly suppressed, arrested, beaten brutally, killed in many cases. There are very many countries that at different times in different ways became democratic without having to go through the great blessing of being oppressed, enslaved, and colonized.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. Weather updates now. Cyclone Ditwa continues to hammer Sri Lanka with relentless rain, landslides and rising floodwaters, pushing the death toll to 56 with 21 people still missing. Heavy rainfall continues to disrupt transport with major roads in Colombo flooded and sections of the Southern Expressway restricted. Multiple flights, including Sri Lankan airline services, have been diverted to Trivandrum, Cochin and Matala due to poor visibility. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has directed officials to carry out rescue and relief work without delay, releasing 1.2 billion Sri Lankan rupees in immediate funding and settling aside 30 billion Sri Lankan rupees under the 2025 budget for emergency response. A new circular has been issued to bypass administrative delays, while a dedicated coordination unit and 10 emergency hotlines have been activated at the Defence Headquarters. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed solidarity with Sri Lanka today as the island faces widespread destruction from Cyclone Ditwa. In a message on social media, PM Modi conveyed his thoughts and prayers for all those affected and pledged India's support for ongoing rescue and relief operations. PM Modi said India has urgently dispatched relief materials and vital humanitarian assistance and disaster relief support under Operation Sagar Bandhu. He further added, guided by India's neighbourhood first policy and vision Mahasagar, India continues to stand firmly with Sri Lanka in its hour of need. The gesture follows urgent pleas for international assistance by Sri Lankan authorities who are dealing with a mounting death toll of 56, tens of thousands displaced or affected, and heavy flooding that has crippled infrastructure across many districts. In response, the Indian government, through its naval asset INS Vikrant, which is currently docked at Colombo port, has already deployed helicopters and provided essential relief materials and rescue equipment to aid humanitarian efforts. President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated Brahma Kumari's annual event for 2025-26 themed Meditation for World Unity and Trust in Lucknow on Friday. Governor of Uttar Pradesh Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath attended the event as chief guests. The dignitaries also planted a Parijat sapling in the premises of the centre. Later in the day, President Murmu also attended the valedictory session of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations of Bharat Scouts and Guides in the city. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in 550th year celebrations of Sri Samsthan Gokarna Partagali Jivottam Mutt in Goa on the occasion of Sharda Pancha Shata Mahotsav. PM Modi unveiled a 77-feet statue of Sri Ram made up of bronze at the Mutt and inaugurated Ramayan theme park garden. On the occasion, the Prime Minister addressed the gathering and released the special postal stamp and commemorative coin to mark the occasion. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Sri Krishna Mutt in Udupi district of Karnataka to offer his prayers. PM Modi also participated in the Lakshakanta Gita Parayana program. He was felicitated by the head priest of the Mutt, Sugunendra Swami. PM Modi also recited the verses from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. On the occasion, PM Modi also addressed the event, starting his address in Kannada. He said that it is a moment of great satisfaction to visit this holy land, and the honour he has been accorded with has added to his responsibilities. PM also inaugurated Suvarna Tirtha Mantapa located in front of the Krishna Sanctum and dedicated the Kanak Kavach for the sacred Kanakana Kindi. A huge crowd gathered to greet the Prime Minister during his road show. People showered flowers on the Prime Minister, who returned the gesture by waving his hands. Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired the 60th Annual Director General of Police or DGP and Inspector General of Police or IGP conference in Raipur on Friday. The three-day conference from November 28th to November 30 is being organized to discuss several issues related to internal security, including strategies to combat left-wing extremism, counter-terrorism efforts, drug control, cyber security and border management. The conference also focuses on building next-level security grid to protect citizens from new age threats. On the second day of the Chanakya Defence Dialogue in the national capital, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addressed the event. In his address, the Defence Minister said that India's economic growth, technological capabilities and principled foreign policy have made it a voice of balance and responsibility in the changing global environment, with countries across the Indo-Pacific and the Global South viewing India as a reliable partner. As part of the event, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also launched key digitalization and green initiatives, Project Ekam, Prakshepan and AI Handbook for military leaders. The minister also inaugurated Green Hydrogen Microgrid project.
In this changing global environment, India's place is also undergoing transformation. Our economic growth, ecological capabilities, and principled foreign policy have made us a voice of balance and responsibility. Today, India is not standing on the margins of the global discussions. In fact, we are shaping them. And we do so with a sense of responsibility, a strategic autonomy, and a confidence rooted in our civilizational values. These days, countries across the Indo-Pacific and the Global South look to India as a reliable partner.
A grand closing ceremony has been organized at the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium in Goa to mark the conclusion of the 56th International Film Festival of India. Minister of State Dr. L. Murugan was among the dignitaries who attended the event, marking the finale of the 9-day celebration of global cinema. Notably, Karan Singh Tyagi won the Best Debut Director Award for his work in Kesari Chapter 2 under Indian Panorama, and Bandish Bandits Season 2 bagged the award for the Best Web Series in Indian Panorama section. In sports news now, Australian skipper Pat Cummins was not named in the squad for the second day-night Ashes test against England in Brisbane, which will begin on the 4th of December. The pacer, who is recovering from a lower back injury, will travel to Brisbane to continue his preparations. He missed the opening test in Perth, which the Aussies won by 8 wickets inside 2 days, but has been at full pace in the nets in recent weeks as he returns to fitness. Fellow pace spearhead Josh Hazlewood was also not included as expected as he continues his recovery from a hamstring problem. The unchanged 14-member Australian team will continue to be led by Steve Smith, with under pressure opener Usman Khwaja retaining his place. The Board for Control of Cricket in India, or BCCI, on Friday announced the under-19 team squad for the Asia Cup. Chennai Super Kings batter Ayush Mhatre will lead the 15-member side, which also includes Vaibhav Suryavanshi and Vihan Malhotra. The under-19 players are currently playing a tri-series at the BCCI Centre of Excellence in Bengaluru, where India under-19A will take on Afghanistan under-19 in the final on Sunday. The Asia Cup will be a major preparatory tournament for the unit ahead of the under-19 ODI World Cup in 2026. The tournament will be played in the United Arab Emirates from December 12th to 21st. Portugal etched its name in history books after defeating Austria 1-0 in the final to win its maiden FIFA Under-17 World Cup title in Qatar. Anicio Cabral, who narrowly stayed onside, scored the only goal of the match in the 32nd minute after a precise cutback from Duarte Cunha. Remarkably, Portugal had not qualified for the previous 9 editions of the tournament since 2003. On their return, they overcame Belgium, Mexico, Switzerland and Brazil in the knockout stages to reach the final. Portugal's golden run in under-17 football continues with the World Cup triumph following their under-17 European Championship victory earlier this summer, completing a remarkable double. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.